tiny, right? I don't have any muscular in my arms or anything, and yet it will be like that. And I'm like, I don't want to look like that. And
muscle fit.
So,
we'll get a selection. We'll figure it out.
Why are you buying me clothes? He's like
branded clothing that says like Planet FPL.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You're better off like getting one, and does it work?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But to be honest, I can get all of them, like a medium, a small, medium, large.
We should do
XL.
A Planet FPL football shirt.
Yeah, I don't like football shirts. I don't really wear football shirts, but if people want them, people want them.
I think it would be kind of cool, maybe. Come on.
Not if Tottenham's kit designers manager. Who is yours? Nike?
Yeah, mate.
Your away kit.
Mate, we don't even know what our away kit is, and we're playing on Sunday. Literally.
Yeah, they haven't released it.
What?
They haven't released it.
No.
I mean, got a really nice
it's probably got Harry Kane in the promo video, and they can't fucking use it. You should go first on this, mate. In terms of your team. Are you 100% or not?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Suj.
And my name is James.
It's Friday, the 11th of August 2023, which is the day that the next Premier League season kicks off tonight, 8 p.m. Burnley versus Manchester City.
6:30 UK deadline.
Yep. I just said, James, that the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. I feel like today is very intense for people because the whole week leading up to the deadline is like gets more and more intense, and you can feel it by the change in the bandwagons that people get hyped up about. And it's happened a lot this week where it's from player A to player B to player C, and everyone's kind of in that panic of, oh, I don't have that player. And I've seen quite a bit of shift in who's the flavour of the couple of days, I would say, from like João Pedro went up to over 50%.
What are you talking about?
No, he didn't go over 50%. Stupinan was, but João Pedro went up a lot.
Stupidan's been over 50%.
João Pedro went up a lot.
At like 15-ish towards, he'll probably go off about 20, I think.
Was he? And then now it's Jackson. Last 2 days, I feel like everyone's like, oh, Nicholas Jackson's the one that we've got to get for 7 million. Okay. Find a way of turning Pedro into Jackson or whatever. The world doesn't revolve around Fantasy Premier League. So you know what? Once the deadline's passed, like, chill out, people. Enjoy your weekend. I feel like it's been such an intense week of like captaincy picks and final dilemmas and all the rest of that stuff that we just need to put FPL in a little bit of context.
So you've just destroyed the tagline you've had for the last 6 years.
Just this week. Just
today, yeah?
Yeah. This next 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever this show is, the world can revolve around Fantasy Premier League. But please, enjoy the weekend, folks. Should we talk about it or not?
No.
Good.
Yeah.
Fine.
No,
because...
well, I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know if you're talking about the elephant in the room.
I couldn't care less about Kane going or staying or whatever. Like, in my world, I couldn't care less. It's absolute irrelevance, whatever. If he stays, whatever. If he goes, whatever. And normally, when there are things that I don't care about, I can tune them out because I can just mute them or don't watch the videos or whatever. But with that guy, because that's next to you for like however many shows a week, I have no way of avoiding it. And I feel like I kept a straight face through it. Like, oh, yeah, okay, if you will. Even, like, I haven't given a shit at all in any conversations about him. So I'd like to say thank you for leaving, because it means that I don't have to listen to you. And it's not your fault. It's because people ask you, having to talk about this situation anymore. I feel like finally, thank God, that name is not going to be mentioned in any podcast between now and the end of the year. And you know what's going to happen as soon as we get close to the Euros? It's going to fucking be mentioned in every podcast. But, oh, thank God it's done, because we don't have to talk about it.
Very interestingly,
thank God.
Although I'm, of course, disappointed that he's gone/going, I was speaking to some of our patrons last night, and I said, because obviously the news broke and it was half hour before I did the stream, and your instinct is, I ain't doing that stream. But actually the questions were pretty fair enough and stuff. It was better to probably just get it out and talk about it. But I said, while I was doing the stream, I was like hit with this relief that like it's not going to be a thing for like the next year, and Tottenham can just move forward with their lives. So listen, best of luck to Harry Kane.
Indeed,
he'll absolutely
thank you for making that decision.
Tottenham have got to use the money wisely, which isn't a direct replacement for Harry Kane. For those wondering about Tottenham assets, my honest advice to you right now is to ignore that shit for the first 2 games and come back and revisit it.
Okay.
That's my opinion on a whole.
I'm ignoring the advice to ignure, but we'll come to that in a second.
Ooh, how interesting.
Also, thank you to Liverpool Football Club this morning, because I've been
outbidding Chelsea on something.
All summer I've been saying, in a year from now, we're going to look at Declan Rice and say it was cheap. Well, they're trying to make it look that way now with that £111 million for Moises Caicedo straight out of the bag. So appreciate you trying to make my predictions look realistic a little bit sooner. £111 million.
Yeah, there's a lot of people thought 105 million Declan Rice. So it fixes Liverpool's biggest problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, if it gets them the league, it's cheap.
Yep.
So this is now not about the money, it's about what the money buys.
I didn't think they would go that high.
Yeah.
No way. I said a few weeks ago, can't see it because they won't go that high. They have, fair done.
36 hours ago, it's like Chelsea are going to buy Caicedo, Liverpool are going to buy Lavia. It's completely reversed. And they're both paying like 15, 20% more than I thought they would end up paying, if not a little bit more. It just feels really bizarre. But I think the point from it is that we're locking in our teams today. There's still 2.5 weeks of this to go, and it's going to get even funnier because
there'll be more transfer stuff, particularly this morning, I think, as well.
Yeah.
In terms of trying to get one or two players registered. Like Bournemouth signed Max Aarons yesterday.
Okay,
they took him from
decent.
Well, he was actually at Leeds having a medical. Bournemouth got him in, but Bournemouth got a problem at right back at the moment. Adam Smith's doubtful. Ryan Fredericks is out. Aarons is a rare one where he's coming in late in the week and he'll probably go straight in the team.
Yeah. The other one, like I saw yesterday, was it yesterday Tyler Adams had his medical or the day before?
I think, to be honest with you, yesterday was quite busy, but I think Chelsea have agreed a deal, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they just bought the buyout, 20 million. Yeah. And I'm just looking at that like every other Premier League club. Are you stupid? Not every other. You know what I mean, though.
Why haven't you gone in for him?
It's
partly that he's injured, isn't it? It's going to take him a while to get up to speed.
Yeah, I get that. But then the clubs that I wouldn't expect to go in for him are the greedy 6, probably. Maybe Spurs would. But
even if Chelsea sold him in a year, would they sell him for?
They're going to make money.
They're going to make money. That's why they've done it. Exactly that.
So, yeah, I know that a lot of people are locking in their teams. And one of the words that's been thrown around a lot, and when I was on a 4-5-1, a lot of people were saying there's lack of flexibility to go this way or that way, this way or that way. If I want this player kicks off, that player kicks off. But I don't even know what the flexibility that I'm going to want is because I don't even know who's coming through the door at which club. So at the moment, it's a madness. But I would say I'm 80%, 90%. Like, if I do nothing and my team rolls out as it is,
you're okay.
If I forget the deadline today, it's all good.
Which you probably will.
It's all good. Nah, I won't forget it. I just will choose not to make a decision about it.
Are you still 4-5-1 then?
No. I am...
Okay. I take it João Pedro's changed that.
Yeah, I'm 3-5-2 as it stands at the moment.
Come on then, tell us.
As it stands at the moment.
Tell us.
Onana in goal.
What's his name?
Onana. I've put Matt Turner in now as well, now that he's moved to Nottingham Forest. I've got those two as my goalkeepers. Trent, John Stones, Estupinian, Gabriel, and Kabore are my 5 defenders. Stonesy being benched this week. My midfield, Saka, Rashford, Mitoma. Who else have I got in my midfield?
I don't know,
Phil Foden.
Are you going to gamble it, yeah?
Yep.
I think you're doing that just to annoy me.
This one will annoy you. Richarlison.
Don't do that.
And up front.
Hold on. Don't do that.
What?
So there was large reports and rumours last night that Richarlison was injured.
Okay, fine. But that changes it. That just goes straight back to Martinelli then.
He responded to a comment on Instagram that said someone had claimed Richarlison needed surgery. He responded to it and said fake news. And I think people went, it's fine. But I read it as injured,
he doesn't need surgery.
It's fake news.
All right, so
we think he's doubtful.
Fine.
And Postecoglou's press conference at 1:00. If he says Richarlison's fine, go with it. Of course,
Yeah. Okay, fine. The asterisk is that goes straight to Martinelli if Richie's out.
Have you got the money in the bank?
Well, I went from Martinelli to Richarlison. I didn't spend the money.
I don't know how you would pick Richarlison over Martinelli.
Long-term pick.
Drop to it in a couple of weeks once you've seen Tottenham.
Yeah, maybe. I've got Haaland, Pedro, and Mbama as my front 3. So at the moment, bench is Mbama, Kabore, and John Stones, just because Pedro's got Luton at home. So I'm not going to pick that.
We think largely it's reasonable, by the way. And I think in seriousness, if Richarlison is
largely
it's
a wicked team, mate. It's all Brighton.
It's fine. It's got
Arsenal,
money in the bank.
City.
The one in terms of the enablers that you've gone for, Turner, yes. Kabore, yes, absolutely fine. On Mabama, we do think Cameron Archer's going to Sheffield United.
Oh, he is.
On a permanent.
Oh, wow. Then that will change
buyback.
me go back. See, I was trying to think who's going to come on and get more minutes? And I'm like, well, if we've got Ings and Antonio, then Mbama's third on the list. And Cameron Archer's second behind Watkins. So he may come on a little bit more. But then who's going to do themselves with an injury that's going to rule them out for 3 months? Antonio and Ings are way more likely than Watkins. I'm like, these two could be croc in a week.
But you might also buy someone with the money you've got, right?
Rumours this week's the other 4.5 at Arsenal, isn't it? 40 million bid for Balogun, and that changes the game again. But I can't buy him now because I don't free Arsenal, right? So that will change things a lot. I didn't know about the Cameron Archer to Sheffield United. That we
think it's a buy, but Villa are going to have quite a reasonable buyback clause inserted. So it might even be one that actually Villa buying back next summer.
Ryan Brewster Mark II, is it? Liverpool wanting to sell him and thinking, we want him back, and then he becomes rubbish anyway. It
has an echo of that, yes.
Correct. So that's where I am. I didn't know the Richie news, so I take that with an asterisk. And it will just go straight back to Martinelli, which was where my team was.
It's just rumours. I think at 1 o'clock today, I don't think it's one where Postecoglou's not going to tell you at 1 o'clock. However, what you should be very, very conscious about, particularly, say, Tottenham's press conference today, it absolutely could be 99 questions about Harry Kane and no one asks about injuries. And if no one asks, he's under no obligation to say anything.
Yeah, please, media. Here's an interesting one for you, which I'm not convinced I'm going to do. But say I stay with Richie and I have the $1 million in the bank, Kabore could be Chilwell.
No, you can't. It's 1.5 difference.
Oh, is it 5.5? I thought he was 5.
No, 5.5.
Okay, well then it won't be. But I was thinking of spending all the money and having a strong second sub as well, and then I don't need to make any moves for weeks. Really, I can just play whoever's there.
The team's fine. I think, look, generally speaking, it's going to be very difficult to pick a bad team, and it's going to, whether you do well or not at the start, it's going to come down to flips, like
2 or 3 players.
Going with or without Odegaard and he goes off, going with
Bruno or something like that, or Salah.
Ollie Watkins, whether he goes off or not. It's going to be flips like that.
Yeah, and those flips over a 2-3 week period can reverse themselves as well, right? Yep. This week's Martinelli, next week's Saka, third week's Odegaard, and everybody at the end of 3 weeks is net the same. So if this is the week that the flips go against me, I'm not worried because it's just as likely that the week after the flips will go back. I'm going to kind of try and hold my nerve for 3 or 4 weeks before making massive changes. How solid is your 11, 15, whatever?
Well, before I do that, I think it's important because there's been a lot of bench boost talk this week.
Oh, yeah.
I
ignored that as well. That can go in the same bucket as Harry Kane.
Which is why I'm now, rather than these are the positives of doing the bench boost, I'm going to tell you negatives of doing a bench boost.
I do agree with what you were saying to a couple of people a couple of days ago. Like, if you haven't thought about it up until now, you shouldn't be thinking about it now.
No, and that's the biggest one of all.
Yeah. I saw that and I'm like, that's just absolute common sense.
So why not bench boost in game week 1, which a lot of people are talking about? One obvious one, double game weeks
it's
in the
not
future,
a double game week,
There's
going
to be more opportunities in the future. Single game week goalkeepers. How many times have you listened to me over the years and said, I won't bench boost without 2 goalkeepers who've got doubles? That's a really strong reason for me to potentially not bench boost. Lack of structure, flexibility. So it's subject to how you're setting up. Let's say you're setting up with a stronger 15 players, right? How are you going to manipulate that in future weeks to downgrade to enablers? Also, if you are starting with a bench boost with enablers, with Kabores and Archers and stuff, like that's not strong enough.
That's not a bench boost bench. No way.
Bench boosting. Too much money on the bench is another reason. You're investing too much money in your bench that leaves you weaker within your first 11. So in theory, again, in future weeks, other teams have more value inserted into their first 11s than if you go with a heavy bench boost, if you will. You may need to wildcard out of it, subject to what you pick. and that's probably not advisable when a lot of the players you'll have in week 1 have got good fixtures in game week 2 and game week 3 and so on. And the big one, of course, is that there's not enough info for game week 1. You know, punting on players like, Richarlison. You can bench boost now, Richarlison. Is he fit? There's a rumour online. Is he going to play? Isn't he going to play? So the strong advice to most people would be there are too many cons to bench boosting in game week 1. I'm still doing it.
You are, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's have a look.
Yeah. There's an 11, and starting 11. So basically, if I was going with not a bench boost, my 11 that I'd start with is basically almost the same as what it would be for this. That's one thing that certainly leans in. So I'll tell you those 11 because they'll be in this team either way unless there's something in the team news today. So Jordan Pickford in goal. Mm-hmm. Back 4 of Ben Chilwell, John Stones, Purvis Estupiñán, Gabriel. Midfield 4 of Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, Marcus Rashford, Karo Mitoma. Up front, Erling Haaland and João Pedro.
So your midfield and your attack's the same as mine. Oh, Martinelli, Richarlison aside.
Yeah.
And 2 of your defenders are the same.
Yeah. Very importantly for me as well, the one thing that would potentially be alternative if I didn't bench boost, in all honesty, I would probably be same as you benching John Stones, and I would start with Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is the one player that really I've sacrificed. So I spoke about the idea of bench boosting a couple of weeks ago.
You got money in the bank, by the way? Well,
on this bench boost, no.
Okay.
No. But it might do by the time deadline comes around. There's a couple of things that could happen.
Money in the bank.
So Watkins is the one sacrifice. So you could say, right, John Stones or Chilwell would be in the bench. But essentially...
As a cheaper player. And you'd upgrade Pedro or...
Well, I wouldn't be moving the money on the bench, right? So Watkins would go back in for me and I'd have a cheap out bench, which is clearly similar to yours. Which is clearly, for me, it would probably be Turner, Kabore, I think Elliot Anderson and Archer. That's probably the cheap out.
Is he midfielder or a striker?
Elliot Anderson, midfielder.
Okay.
No guarantee if he's going to start or not, but I think it's one that potentially has an upside where he might get in the team. And I'm probably unlikely, despite the fixture swing around about game week 5, to think, I want 3 Newcastle. So, I'd be happy to go him rather than Chukwuemeka. I think it's more dangerous. It might block you further down the line, even though we could look at him now and go, I'm pretty sure that he starts. But also consider with them, they'll probably buy someone, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the 11. And when I look forward, importantly, to game week 2, even if it was an 11, I go, that's the 11 I'm playing game week 2. That's the 11 I'm playing game week 3. Now, of course, there would be a decision to make if I had Watkins as well in terms of benching someone, right? But I would be very happy if that 11 that's part of the starting team today played for me in game week 2 and game week 3 if they stayed fit. There's players I'm going to miss out on.
We all are.
But I'd look at it and go, it looks okay. It looks okay. So the reason the bench boost became a bigger thing for me over the last week or so was I absolutely was starting with Christopher Nkunku. There wasn't a doubt in my mind about it. And looking at replacements, the obvious conclusion for me is João Pedro. So I've gone for 0.5 in the bank to having 2.5 in the bank. And looking at where do I spend this money? So out the box thinking in terms of, where can I use that 2.5 million? And the best conclusion for me is actually to use it on this bench. And do it and spend it. I spoke early in the week and I've spoken on the Chip Strategy podcast a couple of weeks ago that I think the doubles at the end of the season, there is a high probability that it's not going to be good. The biggest double game week's likely to be game week 37. It's likely to be rotation hell, and it's likely to be that the fixtures are not going to be good because too many of the postponed fixtures involve clashes where good teams are playing each other. And if they get through in the cups, those are the ones that are likely to land in the doubles. And there's a good few of them, like we saw with Brighton, Man City, Manchester United, Chelsea, and the last season. Exactly that kind of scenario where it's like, this is painful. How many of these guys, we know Bruno's going to play twice, but someone like Bruno Fernandes not having an impact on your bench anyway. The one that would be a real regret for me is if Everton got to an FA Cup semi-final, I think. So for me, under my unique circumstances where I haven't looked for this has fallen for me to look at. And I've asked myself, 4 players with this 2.5 million, what do I want to go with for the bench boost? So it's going to be Sam Johnston as goalkeeper away to Sheffield United, Dominic Solanke, 6.5 forward at home to West Ham, Ebe Eze, also of Crystal Palace at Sheffield United, and Luke Shaw of Manchester United at home to Wolves on Monday night. And because I would not start with those 4 players are my bench boost. I would not be bench boosting without those 4 players. that is strong for single game week players. And we may land in this situation later in the season where it becomes that anyway. So I'm doing it. I can't 100% promise that I'll do it because I looked at a plan last night on what happens if player X becomes doubtful tomorrow. So there are a number of players, there are 6 of them where this gets aborted, even if they're just a doubt where it's, Solanke's doubtful, and he was left out as a precaution last week. But there are 6 players, Estupinan, Martinelli, Mitoma, João Pedro, Solanke, and Eze. If any of them in the team news, it comes out today that they're doubtful, I'm not doing it. If they come through that team news and they're fine, I'm in.
Okay.
For the other players, I have backup plans of what I'm doing.
Johnston, Luke Shaw, Eze, and the fourth words, remind me?
Solanke. Estupinan, Martinelli, Mitoma.
No, sorry, I meant on your bench. Johnston, Solanke,
Eze, and Luke Shaw.
Okay, so you got 8 points there for appearances.
And genuinely, if I look through the next 2 weeks, those 4 players would stay on the bench. Now, the biggest downside of this quite clearly is I need to manipulate the money back. I need to buy an enabler before I move up, right? So if I did want to get Ollie Watkins next week, it's -4, isn't it? I've got to downgrade, let's say, Luke Shaw to the 4.0 and then Solanke to the Watkins. And I might well do that. Another big restriction quite clearly is I cannot do that for Mo Salah and Trent. And I'm absolutely at peace with that. We spoke on Monday about understanding outcomes. What do I do if Mo Salah gets a hat-trick at Chelsea? Right, well, unless something happens to the big Norwegian, I'm really not bothered. I'm not going
Are you factoring, like, say we always say 16 points from a bench boost. Are you factoring in a -4 into what you want to get out of this?
No, because my intention right now is not to -4. But let's be honest, right? Let's say...
But the chances, I would say, is as high as 50-50 that you would want to come out of it. And
listen, would I like to have Ollie Watkins in my team next week? Yeah, sure. I'd like to have Mo Salah and Trent next week in my team, for example, right? But when you look at the fixtures that the guys have got, right, so treble Arsenal away to Palace, I'm going to shit myself. I've got double Man City home to Newcastle. It's fine. Treble Brighton away to Wolves. I'll have Rashford away to Tottenham. Ben Chilwell's fixtures get better. He comes into West Ham away. Like, there's nothing there to be scared of. Yeah, I'm not going to have Liverpool players. I'm not going to have Watkins. But it's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, it's logical. I think that bench has definitely got 8 points in it in terms of appearance points. You want 2 returns, so another 8 points can come out of a clean sheet and a goal somewhere. So that's your 16 points. You should be all right for that.
Genuinely,
I think Luke Shaw's clean sheet is
this
good
is
odds.
A really important thing to say, right? There is no way of knowing, and again, I don't advise that anybody follows this strategy, right? Play it your way, honestly. But there's no way of knowing till the end of the season if this will be right or not. And that can go either way. If I get 8 points, right, 2 points each from those 4 players, right, and they do absolutely nothing, and I get 8 points, you could look at it and say, disaster. There's still no way of knowing until the end of the season if that's right or not, because I will have the advantage at the end of the season of not having to prepare for a bench boost. So I'll have the opposite of what people got now, where other people will have more money potentially in the bank to play with for their team. I will probably have more at the back end of the season when others are potentially fighting for the bench boost. So, and equally, let's say it goes off massive and it gets, I don't know,
24
20,
points.
you know, something like that's probably the best it can be, right?
I think 24, you'd be like, I'd be like, well done. Anything over 16, to be honest.
If this gets 16, I'd be over the moon. And I think realistically, that probably just maybe needs one player to go off. If one player gets a 6, it's 12.
Yeah.
So if one player goes off and gets a bonus, let's say Eze scores and Palace win 1-0 at Sheffield United, that's possibly the 10 points, isn't it?
Yeah,
2 for the other 3 is 16. In any case, let's say it did do really well and even get 24. Don't think I could sit here and go, wow, what a success. Because it might turn out that at the end of the season is better, right? It might be that getting this bench boost score now will hamper me in the next couple of weeks in terms of moving and manipulating my squad. So there's no actual way of knowing, irrespective of what it scores, unless it really bombs and it's like 2 or 3 points or something. There's no way of actually knowing until the end of the season whether it be successful or not. So it's definitely not, if it does really well, you're not going to get me going on Twitter, look at me, look at my bench boost, I'm a hero. I know loads of people will bench boost in game week 1 anyway, because people always do. People want to spunk their chips at the start of the season. I've never done this before. Suj keeps telling me FPL is getting boring, so I thought I'd do something different.
I like it. I don't know if I like the strategy. I like the fact that you're doing something different.
You still feel nervous for me? Because you said on Monday you felt nervous for me.
Not for the points. I don't care about that. No, whatever happens, right? I think at this point, like I said, there's more important things than whether or not your bench boost works happening in the world and whatever. So, yeah, excuse me. Nah, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. I think that bench is okay. I just think Sheffield United, are they going to be awful this weekend?
We spoke about this already. I could easily see Sheffield United beating Crystal Palace 1-0. But I could also see Palace going there and tearing them apart, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't see myself... Okay, let me put it this way. I don't see myself having a stronger bench than that when I get round to my bench boost in terms of individual players. Because those 4 players, like Eze, Solanke, and Shaw, will be in a lot of people's starting lineups, right? And then Johnston as well. So I don't see myself having a better 4, but I do see myself in a situation where I might have 4 doublers, that might counteract it. So this is a quality over quantity of fixtures debate, and the quality is there. So I think I'm less nervous because I think the quality is there. I'm not as... Yeah, I think it could be anywhere from 6 points to 24 points. There is a massive variance.
The biggest downside in the immediate is, like I said, basically, obviously, that money's got to come off the bench at some point. I've basically got to buy an enabler before I do anything else. Now, of course, let's say, hypothetically, Rashford gets injured in game week 1, and I go, well, I want to buy Fernandes. Then I can do that. And maybe that sort of thing needs to happen first, as an example.
Yeah.
But it's probably more likely in that circumstance at the moment that I would go, right, I'm dropping this down and I'm going to get Ollie Watkins back in for Solanke or something like that. So maybe go Rashford to Anderson, Solanke to Watkins, leave that then as a 4-3-3 for a little while and then move and play around from there. So I think it's got more flexibility than perhaps I'd originally realised. And the more I look at it, the more keen I am. Ben Crellin as well, to be fair, I hadn't mentioned or even thought of, to be totally honest, looking at fixture swings at the end of the season, because we obsess so much about wildcarding before the bench boost, right? Biggest doubles like to be 37. The swing of fixtures in game week 31 is mad. Where like Man City come out of a rough 4 fixtures and then it's great. Arsenal, then it's great. Same for Liverpool. And that could be the top 3. And the fixtures before you look at going, well, that's a bit cold. And the blank game week's 2 weeks before for the FA Cup quarterfinals. So do I then want a wildcard in 31 to bench boost in 37? And, of course, I won't need to worry about that under this strategy. So there's a few, as I said, that's abort. I just want to clarify some of them. So the reasons for aborting.
There's a few that said what? Aborting.
In terms of aborting the bench boost. So Estupinan, there isn't anybody else at his price or under that I would think would still leave me as strong enough to want to bench boost, quite honestly. Martinelli's awkward one in the sense that he's 8 million, where I think it becomes an abort. If I had the 0.5 in the bank, I'd go, yeah, we'll go Fernandes now, and we'll deal with this later. Mitoma and Eze are aborts because I'm not keen on having any of them other 6.5s at the moment. I think with Mbeumo, it's questionable how Brentford will play, and as I'd be getting him for one specific week, I don't really like that. And I think the game with Tottenham at the weekend is pretty unpredictable. The Derby's away to Newcastle. Sure, it looks great, but in terms of referencing actually bench boosting at the start, no. And Solanke, there's nothing else to go to. There's nothing.
Understood.
Absolutely nothing else to go to. So that's the biggest one of all, would have to be a bought. For every other player, if they come out today, whether they're doubtful or confirmed out, I know where I'm going.
Cool. Being that it's deadline day and there's a lot of content to consume and produce, particularly James got a couple of streams, Patreons. You can head over to patreon.com/Planet FPL, 3 p.m. UK time, give or take, will be the team news stream. Highly recommended if you want to
That's
join.
available to Intermediate Plus today as well.
Good. James will go through all of the press conferences, injury news, predicted lineups, and then take a few questions from the patrons there as well. 5:30.
Deadline stream for everyone.
Deadline stream for everybody. YouTube.com/Planet FPL if you're listening to the audio.
In partnership with FPL Team.
Yes, indeed. Our mate Pete, who is a patron as well and has been supporting the show since day dot, really. And we use his awesome app to predict out like how our team's looking in the upcoming week. So make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and you'll get notified when these streams go live. Busy day today. And... yeah, that's it.
Cut them all little bits just briefly because there's one thing that I think is an important bit of advice. Manchester City, there probably will be news
Leaky.
before deadline.
Yep.
If Ortega is in that team, I'm getting him. That's part of the plan right now. He goes in. There would be absolutely no doubt. I don't think he will start, but if it came out right, Ortega's in the Man City team, he's going in.
Okay.
Similarly, if Alvarez is in the team, I probably will flip Solanke to him.
Makes sense as well.
If Alvarez was in the team and Haaland isn't, I'll go Watkins, Alvarez and Salah and still bench boost.
Nice. Salah 4?
Well, the Haaland money would go, wouldn't it?
No, but Salah, who you chucking out your team? Elliot Anderson?
Either of the 6.5s. It'd probably be Eze.
Okay.
I think.
Cool. Subscribe to the show, like it, tell your mates, leave a review, do whatever all the other YouTubers and podcasters ask you to do. And enjoy the weekend. Stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Good luck. Be nice to each other as always. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.